How do I do it all? The Brezza gives me the power.
Slightly prolonged end to the finishing touches of that game between the two kings at the Chepauk, but in the end, take nothing away from Shreyas Iyer, Prabhsimran Singh, who managed to win at the Chepauk again. In doing so, managed to give CSK 5 home defeats for the first time ever in their history in the IPL. And that also means that the 5-time champions are now the first team in IPL 2025 to be officially out of the running for the playoffs. It's not the season that many of us thought we'd see for the Super Kings. But the Punjab Kings are back on track after split points at the Eden Gardens. 2 important points taken here. All the key talking points here on Maruti Suzuki Arena presents ESPN Cricket for Timeout in the fine company of Daren Ganga, Wasim Jaffer and Dustin Silgardo of ESPN Cricket 4. Much like the first innings, we were waiting here for quite a long time, thinking that the game is done, game is done, game is done. Let's leave that last over aside. Let's start with Shreyas Iyer, who's made sure that this looks like an impressive win. Wasim, wonderful innings from him.
Absolutely, and he's carried the form again. There was a slight slump, but they needed this win. This would have hurt them if they hadn't won this. I think they needed this. They are much closer to the qualification, which hasn't happened for a long time. And I think fantastic knock, and the pace at which they've chased this, leave apart the last over, but how well they've managed the chase, I think it's very creditable, and a lot of credit to Shreyas.
Yes, so well he played that even if there was a little bit of drama towards the end, they were so far ahead. What stood out from that innings from Shreyas for you?
For me, is his mentality and when he is chasing a score. I think he has dispelled that notion of taking the game deep. He's one that will not leave a lot of the runs for other batters to score, which is a critical thing, I feel, in the modern T20 game. And he's shown that he can take that start, his form, and really just put his team into a commanding position. So whether it's 2 required in the last over, he's done the heavy lifting that makes it very easy for the other batters to come. Once he's at the crease, I think he's sort of committed himself to walk in the hard yards. The other thing I'd like to say is when you look at Prabhsimran, batting in power play 1, going deep into power play 2, into phase 2, that middle phase, and then you had Shreyas Iyer batting all the way to the 3rd phase.
Yeah.
You look at the teams that have been successful this season, like a Gujarat Titans, batters are transcending the different phases of the innings, and that to me is an essential goal to set internally.
Yeah, I mean, really impressed with the way Shreyas Iyer, hitting sixes. We've seen since the 50-over World Cup. But how easily, probably the best 6-hitter, I would say, across, spin bowling as well as fast bowling. How easily he, dispatches the ball into the crowds, is absolutely amazing.
Especially to the quicks. We knew he had this ability for spin, but it seems like he's worked considerably on his ability to take down pace.
Definitely, and he's never in 2 minds. You hardly see him mistime it, and it just doesn't carry over the boundary. It goes really long, and looks like he's worked really hard at that. Across all the Indian batters, he's somebody who you feel can clearly, hit sixes at ease.
Yeah. What's the story of the difference in the two teams today, Dustin?
Yeah, I think Shreyas at one time was 29 of 25 and then just accelerated. I think him versus Pathirana was a crucial duel, and I think he's got 26 of 14 balls of Pathirana. With Pathirana, he obviously is looking for the Yorker always, but when he misses, he usually under pitches. And I think Shreyas likes that length. So off those full balls, he got a couple of sixes, and that acceleration against Pathirana is what put Punjab in a really good position, because it was kind of close till about 11-12 overs, and then there was a sudden acceleration.
I think that's an excellent point to just see where CSK might have been able to pull this back even after the wicket of Prabhsimran. Pathirana, if I actually think of it, is the right kind of bowler for Shreyas. He doesn't lap or go play the scoop as much. So you're thinking if Pathirana can get it right, sometimes even he misses the Yorker, he's not easy to take down. What was the reason that Shreyas was successful in taking him down so easily today?
Well, I think when Pathirana misses his length, the Yorker, I think it falls right in that slot area. And with the ball tailing in, it becomes even more easier, even though he got out in the similar fashion. But that actually swung a lot more. But actually, that is the length which Shreyas looks for. That is a very easy ball to hit, and Shreyas obviously makes it look really easy.
Yeah. He's smart as well. When I think he was taking him down, I think field changed, and then you see the late cut too. It tells you a batter in control in a chase, Daren?
Yeah, that was what, the 17th over, I think,
Yeah.
when they scored 20 in that over. And again, is that attitude that he has. I also feel when I look at Shreyas Iyer as compared to previous seasons, I feel that his stance is a lot more upright.
Yeah.
I feel that has allowed him to have a little more fluency in his bat swing, his efficiency as well. If you look at his bat as well, he's gripping the bat a little bit higher on the handle, long handle on that bat. I don't know if it's a slightly longer handle than normal, but he seems to be in a very balanced position where he's not bending too low, nice fluent swing on the ball, gets deep in the crease for Pathirana when he misses his length. So he's able to get under the ball, and that beautiful swing of his just makes right contact, and the execution is perfect for six hitting and boundary hitting.
Yeah, this was slightly different. Like you said, that he started his innings a bit cautiously. Shreyas otherwise has committed to a template of playing very aggressively. I guess today we saw there is a situational awareness to how he plays.
Yeah,
in
there
the
was some
chase.
controlled aggression. There were a couple of sixes early, but then he was knocking it around. Of course, he had Prabhsimran at the other end who was going hard. So I think that also allowed him to kind of play himself in. But then, yeah, once he got going, as Wasim Bhai was saying, he doesn't leave it till the end. He kind of just accelerated and made sure it was done before.
That's how you do it, Royals would be saying. But now Royals also don't leave it to the end. Vaibhav just gets rid of everything in the beginning. In all seriousness, Prabhsimran Singh, are we now finally seeing really talented player, Wasim, that you worked with, you know well, become more than just a power play basher? Has he grown to another level from what you've seen?
I think he's got better. Still, I think long way to go, because you want him to get and do what Shreyas Iyer did, because he's got that capability. Because in that same over there was a catch drop, and then again he played that shot and got out. That's been his way of getting out, more or less than not. You want him to bat till 14, 15 over, because he's got such potential. Then he can easily hit sixes, easily hit across the field. But I think today he played really smartly. Sometimes he throws it away after the power play, which he didn't do, and that was good to watch.
So I have a question, because how do you deal with a player like this? Because his power play strike rate is amazing, of course. One of the best, in fact, in the IPL. And of course, but he doesn't have that huge season of 400 plus runs. This season he might get there to 400 plus. But is there worry as a coach telling a player to kind of, temper it down, that he might lose that aggressive instinct? Or where's the balance then?
I think this season he got 300s in the Vijay Hazare, back-to-back 300s. He got a 150 also. So this season, I think Abhishek and he batted a lot together, and I think Abhishek, used to tell him a lot that once you get a boundary, once you get a six, try and get a single, go to the other end, take the game a little deeper. Obviously, it's a 50-over format, always helps, but that's the tendency with Prabhsimran, because he wants to just take everybody down in 1 over. Have a big over, 20-25, but he can be smart and play according to that. Have a six or maybe a boundary, take a single, go to the other end, pick other bowler, and that's, I think, what he's doing right now.
Yeah, I mean, he's, for an opening batter, you've got to be able to take down pace. He can do that, but he also seems pretty capable batter to take down spin. Do you sense he's got an all-round game?
I think, the modern T20 batters like Prabhsimran, what they do is they play the matchups, and they train themselves to take down bowlers that are in their favour. Ball turning into them, making sure that they cash in. And I guess organizing that in your mind is very critical for you sustaining your innings too. You'll hear that from many of the batters there. So I feel this T20 game still requires a soft side to you as a batter, dropping the ball, running, trying to rotate strike, getting the twos. Because let's face it, majority of the pitches here are very good batting surfaces. You'll come up from time to time on a pitch that is relatively tricky. So that is where you need to use your softer skills. You may have to chase a target that is not a 200 plus target. You have to be able to gear up and gear down your batting when the situation requires it.
Right, very good from both Prabh and Shreyas. At half-time though, Daren, you did say along with me, of course, that they have enough runs, which we thought for a while they did too. Why was it significantly insufficient? I'm going to say that because this game should have been done 18, 19 overs ideally. But can we start with Pathirana, who has been now a recurring problem for a retained player, high value and all that. But Pathirana just has not been working this season.
Yeah, it's his control that is being called into question, whether that's from a lack of rhythm, maybe a technical issue that he's facing. Again, His release points are different angles. That's something that he will have to review and see if he's releasing the ball at the optimum level for him to be in full control of where he wants to pitch the ball. I still feel his introduction in that 11th over is a little too late.
Yeah.
You can't just pigeonhole him to bowl 3 in the last 5 or 3 in the last 6 of an innings. There needs to be a contingency and there needs to be some sort of assessment of his form on the day and not put your team under having to bowl a bowler that is lacking control. So I feel CSK, they're shortchanging themselves by going in that direction. They probably need to use him in a different role if they want to play him and maybe try to remedy that situation.
There's a couple of problems in that. And yes, I think if Pathirana is not in this form, you ideally have to be aware that maybe if his first over again doesn't go well, I'm locking him for 3 more overs, which happened even now. He's bowled for Khalil, maybe could have come in an over earlier. The other thing is whether they should be playing a Pathirana so out of form anyway. Nathan Ellis seems to have the curse of just not getting game time wherever he goes. Fine bowler that he is. Knows the Punjab Kings well. Would they be regretting that decision right now?
Yeah, I mean, he's somebody who bowls in the middle overs. He can bowl 1 over in the power play. And he's done that for multiple franchises. So, he's a capable bowler. He's a hard worker. He's got some variations as well. So
more phases, right?
Yeah. And somebody who's in so out of form, even though he's your retained player, if he's so out of form, there's a couple of guys. I mean, they've tried Overton, but Nathan Ellis is a possible replacement.
Ambati Rayudu has said here, there are certain things about MS's captaincy and now he would have an influence on selection, that there are certain things that he just goes by with gospel. One of them is if he is perhaps Pathirana, which I can only assume, whereas many players this season have got chopped and changed to try and find an ideal combination. They've still backed Pathirana as much as possible. But I guess on a day like this, especially looking at how MS is so successful in getting the best out of a par or above par score, which I think we got today, right? 190.
Yep. Yeah.
Whether he could have done more. Could Jadeja's use, Khalil at the end? What else did we see that perhaps CSK could have done more tactically?
Yeah, I mean, Khalil coming back earlier could have been one of the things. I think Karan also didn't bowl out, although he did get taken out down in his last over. Yeah, with Pathirana, I mean, the thing is that if you look at the numbers on his lengths, he's bowled 19 Yorkers this season, 14 full tosses, 61 full balls. So his Yorker percentage is still about 25%, which is actually not bad compared to other bowlers.
What's the strike rate against
the strike rate against the full balls is 12 and over he's going at. So basically 2 runs per ball. So that's the thing that, if you look at Bumrah's stats, for example, even when Bumrah slightly misses the Yorker, it still doesn't go for that much. Maybe because he's not missing it by that much, or the action, or it's tailing a bit. But with Pathirana, every time he misses the Yorker, it just goes for runs.
Not to mention the wides that are an issue.
I think they were just 2 today, so not as, or were they more?
31 for the season, I'm told by Pathirana, which is a lot. I mean, if you give Khalil 3 more runs today, I know it's only 2 wides or 3 wides today, but there is a rhythm problem. Anyway, let's look at other elements here, larger picture. Shall we go back to the first innings and think they put themselves in a position to get 200, 210? They'd be regretting after being in that position to fold so quickly towards the end to Chahal?
Most definitely. I think that Chahal over that took 4 wickets really dented their efforts in getting to that maybe unassailable total of 210, 215. But again, it is a reflection of the form of this batting side as a collective. It was a pitch to me that was maybe the best pitch that we've seen all season from CSK. The other thing, while we're at it, I felt that CSK had a good chance because there was a little bit of lowering of bounce that I felt might have creeped into that second half of the game.
Yeah.
That didn't happen. Again, it just reinforces how strong this Punjab Kings batting lineup is. And again, the top 3. 2 of them coming good today and making light work of this choice.
There are a couple of things which you noticed. I forgot to bring it up on the mid-show, but now that CSK have lost it, even when Chahal bowled that over, we were thinking, right, there's a reason. Dube is the ideal guy to take him down. That's probably the reason.
Yeah.
And Huda, after the Dhoni wicket, comes in and takes 2. Yeah. Dube has ended up facing what, 2 or 4 or something like that today? What?
No, he got out the next ball.
Yeah, I mean, so if Dube keeps strike and turns down a single there, he gets 3 balls of Chahal, which is at least giving him a great chance.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody expects them to lose 3 wickets there.
Yeah.
But don't you sense that's a little bit of game awareness lacking?
Yeah, I mean, it was Dube's, I would say, it was his mistake that he should have told Deepak Hooda to stay down non-strikers, and he should have faced 3 deliveries. He might have hit a couple of sixes, you never know.
100%.
And obviously they would have got wickets in hand for the last over, could have got 200 plus, and you never know. You know, those could have been the different things that you need, that slight edge.
It's a shame really, because it just seems like CSK are improving but not collectively firing. Today, okay power play by their own standards, went at 8 and over. Very good middle overs. They got what, 80 odd or more?
If you count what we now count, it's about 112, which is over 6 till right up to
15.
over 16.
16. So now the death overs are only the last 4.
The last 4,
That's what I'm trying to rewire now. The death overs are the last 4. It's after the second time out.
Right.
So that's the middle overs. So they actually bossed the middle overs today with thanks to Sam Curran. But they just went completely kaput in the last 4.
Yeah, 30 of 3 point, the last 4 overs basically is what they got. They only faced 3.2 of those. So.
And all that, I guess, is summations that this team has just not worked. And it shouldn't therefore come as a surprise that they are the first team to officially be out of the running for the playoffs. It's not like they would have harbored hopes of an extraordinary comeback. But it is sad, I guess, to see a team so celebrated fold so quickly. It's just been an awful season, hasn't it?
It is, yeah. I mean, the bright spot was Sam Curran. At least, you know, he made a game of it. That's what you need. You know, one guy stepping up, and, you know, it could make a lot of difference. You don't need all players to fire. Sam Curran was the guy today. So that at least gives you a spark. They'll just hope that they play all the other games, you know, like in this manner, and hopefully finish better.
Yeah.
I think when you reflect on this season as a whole and what we've heard from, you know, the Brains Trust and what we've seen, I get a sense that this team is a team that is stuck in their old ways and their own style of play. Whereas other teams and other franchises, they've been a little more enterprising in the way they've approached batting and bowling, and more so batting too. The sort of youthfulness that we've seen at the top, the ultra-aggressive approach, that sort of intent to take the game on. You didn't get that sense that CSK was playing that style and brand of cricket from the start. And halfway to 3/4 in the season, then there was that realization and that reaction to try and get their game or mold their game towards what the trend has been in this tournament. So it's a learning, I would say, process for CSK. I mean, sadly, their history is a remarkable history, but I feel that they will gather a lot of information from this season and set things right for next year.
Even in not so great CSK seasons, although the one that they had a couple of years back was not played at Chennai, they've never been so easy to defeat at home. I guess the 5 home losses, I know I can go back to Stephen Fleming's earlier comments that this year they have no say in control over the surfaces, and that's been a recurring talking point, which you can make what you want of it. But from what I gather, in general, there's a lot of centralized supervision of surfaces, and many times teams may ask for something, groundsmen may even say, yeah, but sometimes you just don't know what you're going to expect, and that's look like a lot of teams have been surprised by what wickets they're seeing at home. So maybe it's not as easy to establish home domination.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing with CSK, it's a bit like KKR, that okay, you want turning tracks because you've got a lot of spinners. But then, are the batters good at playing spin?
Yeah,
that's the problem. You know, you have, like the game against KKR was the perfect example. That was a proper Chepauk turner, but it was CSK who got Chepauked by KKR instead of the other way around.
All right, so let's take some viewer questions and comments, shall we? Sri Charan says, what a mature innings from Shreyas. A younger Shreyas might have thrown his wicket away after a slow start, but he's become an absolute star middle order batter. Yeah, we couldn't agree more. Panel's high praise for him. I think now that the form has lasted fairly deep into the season, next time India pick a T20I team, isn't Shreyas Iyer in it?
Oh, without a doubt, 100%.
Yeah, most definitely.
People tend to ask me if you're picking someone, you should always mention who's not in it. But for now, because we know Tilak, Surya, 3, 4, so he's got to find a space there.
Yeah, I mean, at least in the squad, you know,
right.
We don't need to pick the 11, but he definitely gets into the 11, 15.
Yeah. Every time he's past 10 this season, he's got a big score, which is a really good sign.
This is actually his standout innings, given it's in a chase. And it's taking the chase deep. He's played, I think, 150 in a chase before this, but otherwise all his big scores have been batting first. Frankie de Jong says, CSK's retentions haven't performed. Jadeja, Dube with his finishing, Pathirana, well, MS, MS we've discussed in detail, by the way, on our pre-show. You should really watch that pre-show, and we're thinking long picture and what Daren, Wasim, Dustin all had to say. But Pathirana as a retention, in fairness, a lot of us thought that's the one retention there's very little doubt on. If you remember, Dustin, all the pre-auction stuff we did, Pathirana is a rare skill set, X-factor, death bowler. Do you understand him being at least a good retention, having a bad season, as against some of the others perhaps?
Yeah, him and Shivam Dube, I would also say, because Shivam Dube's form was the reason they played so well last season, and him getting into that T20 World Cup. He came into that World Cup because of the IPL form. But Pathirana as well, I mean, him not finishing overs and him not, as good as what he was last season, is one of the reason CSK is struggling. Obviously, the batting has been a problem, but Pathirana is way off his form as well.
I saw one from Ujjwal saying, is the tag of calling him the next Malinga and all that creating too much pressure on him?
I was just going to say that. I mean, there's an expectation that he would follow in the footsteps of Lasith Malinga. Again, it's only human. He's still a very young bowler. Again, you look at his action and you know that if his rhythm is not right and, if he's not getting a subtle part of that sequential action right, it will impact on his control. So he'll have to go back to reviewing what he's done this season and come back stronger. But you tell me that I have an informed Pathirana in my team, I think I have an X-factor bowler. So that's the double-edged sword that you have with a player like him.
Yep, all right. So what else do we have? PBKS are smart. Net run rate might not matter because they're on odd points, so they can take their time to finish games. Very good, Ujjwal, very good. DOF says Iyer has to be in both white ball teams and he should be captain.
Of Punjab Kings, he is captain.
There are a couple of Bombay boys still very much in charge of both the ODI and the T20I team. But Shreyas,
I am sure he's next in line, in my opinion, because Shubman is also doing a good job. I don't know whether he'll fit in. I'm talking about whoever is next.
So I like this. Shreyas and Shubman, let's say both heirs to the throne of captaincy of Indian cricket. ODI cricket, T20I cricket. Shreyas is a lock-in in the ODI, in the 11th. So that's, I think, very little argument. T20, lots of competition, especially with Surya Kumar Yadav playing at the number that he does. Often we say he should play 3, even whether it's 3 or 4. But where do Shreyas and Shubman fall in terms of prospects as captain?
T20, is it?
T20. And ODI, after Rohit Sharma, whenever that time comes.
I think would give it to anyone. I like Shreyas because, I think the way he has guided this Punjab team and his moves have been very smart.
So captaincy for ODIs.
For ODIs, yeah.
And T20s, is he ahead of, say, Shubman? Or will it all
Shubman is not in that T20 side as of now. So you don't know whether, after Surya, you don't know who's going to be that guy. Hardik plays in that T20 team, so you never know. Hardik could be that guy. But I like Shreyas. I'm not going to tell the name.
Okay, sir. Mr. Ganga.
Okay, so I'm a neutral here, looking out and looking on from outside.
Go on.
I would say, from a captaincy point of view, Shreyas has impressed me a little bit more as a captain.
Right.
Because of how he's done things tactically. I think he's someone that gets the right balance between data and gut instinct. Sometimes you have a captain that is driven heavily on data, but I feel when you play more at the international level, it requires you to do more than just take data and transfer that onto the field. So I like that about him. Shubman Gill, I think, is also a very good captain, and his record speaks for itself too as a captain. So if I had to make a judgment call, both of them are great players who I think should be a part of India's T20I setup. But if I had to make a judgment call, I'll sway more to Shreyas Iyer.
I see. So that is DG's judgment. What about GG's judgment? GG would also be thinking, who have I worked with before? Who has...
And I think when he was Delhi Capitals captain, they played the finals. Last year he won the trophy with KKR. So if you just go by the numbers, numbers back Shreyas Iyer.
Okay, that was fun. Just deflecting a little bit from the IPL. We end up picking some 46 players for India every IPL. So I'm just giving you all a heads up. We're just having some fun here. Who knows what happens next? I think their next T20 assignment is after the England series when the white ball team goes to Bangladesh. There's a lot of T20 cricket between now and the next T20 World Cup. But this is the last IPL before that World Cup. We have the World Cup next year in India before the IPL 2026. Right, let's take some more very quickly. Shreyas' six hitting ability so effortless, says DOF. Yes, we contributed to that discussion. What else? Should CSK keep playing Pathirana? Can we at least see more of Ellis? There are a few. There's also that Nathan Ellis is in peak form internationally. So it's not like you're leaving someone out who's a fringe player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see him in next game, you think?
Yeah, I think they that's a no-brainer. They have no choice but to give him a run and to try and rectify that bowling at the back end of the innings.
Okay, in hindsight, Nirmit says the decision to bat Shashank out of Inglis was also a good one. Yeah, I mean, the game was still tricky. We've seen games like that go wrong for more than one team.
Yeah, he played a good cameo, 12 balls, 23. Game could have gone anywhere, and he came in and batted sensibly.
Yeah, and they did, I think, what we discussed in the pre-show. You had those guys coming in.
5, yeah.
Excellent. What else do we have? SBM asks, have CSK already moved on from Ashwin? Not playing him in the 11 or the 12? Well, they're putting him on the bench. So I guess if they ever feel on a day they found themselves on a turner, he's in the game. He played the game against MI, I think. Did he, or the Wankhede?
No.
Yeah, I think that's the one that they brought him in for. One of the recent games where he brought in as
the last one and this one were both Kamboj for sure. And
Correct.
they brought Kamboj in the first innings itself. So it seemed like they were already kind of.
But I think the larger question here is what we discussed on the pre-show, quite frankly, that amongst the many decisions that they may be looking to understand with these remaining games for next year, is one already that Ashwin needs to be released. What do you think, Wasim?
I think so. I think because Ashwin doesn't bowl, off spin to right-handers at all. That's one of the concern. He bowls that carom ball, and I personally, as a batsman, feel it's a lot easier to play. It's a very defensive tactic, and that's why probably he's a class act. He needs to trust his off spin a lot more, I feel.
I love it when he bowls off spin to left-handers also, but sometimes that also we don't get to see. I mean, MS said something about the overall bowling not working, we don't have a power play bowler, so we need Kamboj and whatnot, but you paid nearly 10 crore for Ashwin to return.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough one. You're balancing a player with a massive reputation, playing for India and doing so well in red ball cricket, coming back to his home base. I feel that from a skills point of view, he's got it. I don't know if he's gone too defensive. I mean, sometimes they say the older you get in cricket, the smarter you become about your own game and the risks involved. So maybe it's something that he has to look at, but surely from the point of view of penetration and effectiveness, he hasn't shown that effectiveness expected of him. We felt that combination with him and Jadeja will prove to be a similar combination we've seen from Chakravarti and maybe a Narayan. That hasn't happened, and this is CSK just trying to address, I think, that lack of output from him as a bowler.
Kalatumani says, CSK needs a complete overhaul. First person to step away should be MSD. Now, I will take that comment. Some of you accuse me of not taking any of those comments. So there, I've taken it. But I will invite you to go watch our pre-show today. It's all about CSK big picture. And the panel's given their opinions on how they can go about it, including the MS Dhoni situation. So please do watch that. That's a really long conversation. This game has already been a bit long, but we have addressed it. So please go have a look whenever you'd like. What else? I think there's another one here saying, let's focus on Dube. What's he doing as a player? How is it that a player who was so good for India not too long ago finds himself so out of form? It's a good question.
But they're not giving him balls to face almost.
He's had games where he's been playing for a long time. The reverse fixture was a scratchy 45, 50. At times the batting positions were, but I don't think Dube's had a lack of opportunity like say an Andre Russell or a Ramandeep or something like that. Is Dube's graph going down as a T20 batter?
I think so. After the last IPL, even he struggled in the T20 World Cup as well in West Indies and in America, and we haven't seen the Dube of last IPL, in that same pedigree. So yeah, teams have found where to bowl to him and how to bowl to him. He was a terrific spin hitter, which we haven't seen that this season as well. So the strength that he had last season is going missing as well. So that's a worry for me.
Two things I would say about that. I mean, he had that concern about him being able to play genuine fast pitch bowling. I think he showed in last season that he had the skill set and he had the ability to counter that and to take away that risk in his batting. I come from a territory where we have a great deal of all-rounders and fast bowling all-rounders, whether you want to call it bowling all-rounders or batting all-rounders. I just feel when you play Shubham Dube and you don't play him as an all-rounder, that could be, to me, a little bit debilitating to him as a cricketer and as a batter.
Okay.
I would like to see Shubham Dube be played as a genuine all-rounder in this CSK team, because you talk to, whether it's a bowling all-rounder or a batting all-rounder, they'll talk about how contributory one is to the other part of their game. And I just feel with him just turning up to bat and not playing a part in the game, to bowl and to be part of that sort of competition required, I feel that is probably having a negative impact on his
But Darren,
batting.
his best years as a batter also came when he was not being used as a bowler.
Yeah, but I feel over time, and when you get into the habit of just putting your pads on to bat and not taking part in any other aspect of the game,
Sure.
that to me could kind of take away your competitive edge too as a player. And I feel that's something that they should explore a little bit deeper. Maybe get him more involved in the game, because sometimes a player competing and competing in a game fully is a totally different player to a player just putting on his pads to play an innings.
Yeah, have maybe CSK asked him to change his role because so many wickets are falling around him. I mean, I'm just looking at his numbers against spin. This season, he's got only 87 of 76 against spin, striking at less than
so
120.
that one USP of
And
Dube has
he's
not
hit-
That
fired.
has also gone missing.
Yeah, like he's hit 6 sixes of 76 balls. Last year, he was hitting a 6 every 4 balls against spin. This year, it's like basically triple the number of balls before he hits a 6. So
That's a worry for
That's
me.
the biggest concern,
Yeah.
isn't it?
So is that contextual? Meaning contextual in the fact that no one else in the CSK batting lineup is performing and contributing. There's no collective confidence in this batting lineup. Is it impacting him to the point of him being conservative and not being enterprising?
All I'll say to that is, if you'd allow me, that this is still a player who is competing for India caps. He is very much still at the peak of his career right now, which has anyway come a bit late as far as India caps go. So there is enough motivation for Dube to still be.
no, but I think
No,
what Darren
player
is saying is it's different coming in at, say, 90 for 2 after 10 overs and coming in at 40 for 4 after 6
and
overs.
losing a
or
wicket
7
when you just arrived at
Yeah.
the crease
Yeah,
as well.
I can get the role clarity challenge with Dube, but as a retained player, as someone who at least, if nothing else, needs to be able to take down spin, you at least want that going in your favour. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, even though he's a T20 World Cup winner, that when India pick their next T20 team, he's not even near the conversation. It would not surprise me.
If I could just share a story, Nicholas Puran, when he was named captain of the West Indies T20I team, he was batting it himself at number 4, number 5, and he confessed that, him coming in at that time when his team was in a spot of bother, wickets falling around him, it impacted him and his natural game, because
Fair enough, yeah.
he had and felt that he had to take responsibility for the situation and play the situation more than play his natural game. So at times, that thought penetrates your mind as a player, and sometimes it could restrict you being able to play a natural game. So maybe that's something that he's experienced this season. We don't know, but I'm just saying there were other players who have played and who were asked to play a similar role to him, who've gone through a situation where a team is not performing, and of course they're feeling that they have responsibility to bat for others.
Okay, well, there's a lot that we are going into. There's one, since Darren's here with us. SKM says, Dwayne Bravo, the bowling coach, is a big miss for CSK. He was the one guiding Pathirana on the sidelines. Now I'm always keen to put into context how much of a role coaches play.
Well, to be honest, Dwayne Bravo has a database of knowledge about bowling in different situations, about approaches. So one thing for sure, you will get the tactical approaches required for any sort of phase of the innings. Still, the execution remains with the player. So whilst I would agree that the information will be shared, I still feel it's up to the bowler to execute, and it's been an execution problem in my estimation with Pathirana.
All right. Listen, guys, we've done a really detailed CSK chat. Please go watch it on the pre-show. That's all I'm going to say, because I'd love to go this on longer, but it's past midnight, and you can blame both captains for the overrate for that. But very quickly, I'll just take a few Punjab questions just to balance it out. Of course, even though they've won, there's quite a lot of comments on whether they picked the wrong team today. Stoinis should be playing, and another day when you have Shedge and Omarzai and Brar. I think they got away with that one today. They need a better balance to their team going into the 3 games at Dharamshala.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little surprised that Stoinis wasn't playing.
Assuming that he's, of course,
Yeah, if he's
fully
fit and he's
yes.
not been picked, that's a concern for me. Because English, I feel, is playing out of his position. Ideally, he opens the batting and is very explosive, but he's not going to get anywhere near 1, 2, 3. So I feel Stoinis is a far better, player at 5, 6, 7, and he can contribute with the ball as well. So that in that regard, I would say, Stoinis, you want him in the 11. Shedge hasn't performed to his ability, even though he's a very fine player, but we haven't seen the best of him yet.
Right. There's also one big one on now Maxwell, who Shreyas indicated might be out for the season. And Maxi, the bowler, was having a bigger impact or quite a significant impact. So they need to find a bowling resource. Today, the lack of an off spinner could have easily cost them. How do they fix that?
Yeah, well, of course they tried Bra to deputize in his absence. I just feel that, you can't really compare another player to Maxwell because of the X-factor ability that he brings. Whether they go for a replacement, I don't know if there's an available replacement that can play that role for them, but they have to try now. As I say, this could be discovery too, these options, so that they can nail what is their best combination of bowlers going forward and deeper into the business end of this tournament.
I think all I can get from the two of you is, correct me if I'm wrong, the start was Prab was keeping, English wasn't playing.
Yeah.
So you get Prab to keep.
Yeah.
The batting can all go position higher because they still have decent batting, deep batting. And then you can play another bowler. That could be Vaishak, that could be Bartlett. So they probably need more bowling. Would that make more sense going into the next one? They do have batting.
Yeah, they've gone in, I think, with more bowlers than this in previous games because Shedge hasn't bowled much. They've usually had a sixth bowler. It's been Stoinis maybe as the sixth bowler or Maxi as the sixth bowler, but yeah.
I think Chahal needs to bowl 4 overs, irrespective of how the day is going for him.
We needn't talk about him, hat-trick, but it's probably because the hat-trick was slightly lower down the order. But Chahal has impacted the game, isn't he?
Without a
Because
doubt.
that over can go for 15, 20. Maybe.
I mean, Dhoni hit the first ball for 6, which he rarely does off spinners. I mean, a lesser bowler may have got nervous, bowled a short one, he's put it up again and Dhoni's hit it to long off. So, some credit definitely due. Raunak, come on, a little bit of credit to Chahal.
Of course,
For
lots of
4
credit
wickets
to
and an
Chahal. I love Chahal. Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, 4 wickets, and I think that's the 4th time he got MS in the IPL. He's got a pretty good record against MSD. So there you have it. I was going to ask whether Chahal or Shreyas should be player of the match. What do you think, Dustin?
Shreyas.
Yeah, that's why. That's why I was spending more time on Shreyas. Shreyas Iyer has been named player of the match. Fair enough.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, agreed.
Well, not too many hat-tricks are usually on the non-receiving end of a player of the match award, but I can understand why that one was. Anyway, it contributed significantly to the eventual game, one would think. It's time for a rapid-fire review. Let's go, gentlemen. You know how this drill works. Quick-fire summations of the game. Wasim, let me start with you. 4th 50 of the season, but is that among Shreyas Iyer's most mature knocks?
I think so, especially in the chase, and they needed this win to go second in the table. Had they lost this one, it would have put a lot of doubts in their minds. So, very important win.
All right, back to you, Daren. What was the most impressive aspect of Sam Curran's 47 ball 88?
It was his ability to counter spin in that middle phase. The way he took down the opposition bowlers in that phase and sort of gave them hope. It's been a recurring issue for CSK, and the fact that he hasn't played a lot of matches all season for him to step in showed a lot of courage and self-belief for him to give that celebration too, as if to say, why wasn't I playing previously and more consistently?
Well, I want to know what that celebration is. We'll find out by tomorrow, hopefully. Dustin, one for you as well. Losing 3 in the power play or losing 4 in the 19th, what cost Chennai more eventually?
Losing 4 in the 19th.
Okay, Wasim, intent and consistency, is Prabhsimran the most improved uncapped batter this season?
I think so. I think, he's been around, but this year he's consistent, and that is something which is good to see.
Daren, describe Chahal's 19th over hat-trick in one line.
It was an over of, I would say, redemption and and effectiveness. Yeah.
All right, very good. It's like we were playing a word game over there. You were trying to see how many words you could get in. But you did well. Redemption indeed for Yuzvendra Chahal. And finally, all of you can chip in on this. Chennai losing 5 times at the Chepauk in a season. Is that one of the IPL's all-time shocks? Dustin?
Yes.
without a doubt.
Agreed.
All right. Well, no argument from me on that one. Nobody expected CSK to go down 5 times at home in a single season, but that's what's happened. What it means on the IPL points table is that the Super Kings, after 5 losses at home, the 5-time champions, are the first among the 10 teams to be officially out of the running for the playoffs. Punjab, that's a big jump for them. They're into the top 2, not just the top 4. And there was odd points. That odd point against KKR might be significant when it comes to a battle between net run rate potentially. It tends to play its part in deciding the playoff positions. For now, Punjab Kings would happily take that win because their last win was a while away. It was the game against RCB at the Chinnaswamy on the 18th of April. So it's been a while since they've won. They now go to Dharamshala for 3 games back to back. LSG, DC, Mumbai Indians, and then close it out at Jaipur against Vaibhav's team. And as far as CSK go, well, maybe they can spoil a party or two. RCB at the Chinnaswamy on Saturday. KKR, Rajasthan and Gujarat Titans, Rajasthan being the home game. Well, that should be fun. Thank you very much, Dustin Silgardo. I got a comment earlier which says Dustin has spent more time on the couch than Deepak Hooda has on the ground. That was a genuine comment. I didn't want to bring it because it was not a fair comment.
Has my stay been as effective as Deepak Hooda's or slightly better?
I think it has been miraculous. I am retaining you for sure. Certainly at the cost that you
But you are not getting paid as much.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, I must thank Daren Ganga, who's now safely going to travel back to the Caribbean.
Thank you for
Daren,
having me.
always a pleasure having you in Cricket Info, as also Wasim Jaffer. Wasim, I'm sure we'll see you very soon on our network again. But on your way out, why don't you both give me your prediction for the IPL final?
I think RCB is going to play that final alongside either of GT or Punjab Kings.
Ooh, no MI. All right. Wasim.
Yeah, Punjab RCB.
Punjab RCB first time champion loading for Wasim Jaffer. Both your former franchises in one form or the other. Excellent. Thank you, Wasim. Thank you, Daren. Dustin, brilliant as always. Look forward to your company tomorrow. It's Mumbai Indians against Vaibhav's team. It'll be fun. Build up just before the toss. Maruti Suzuki Arena presents ESPN Cricket for Timeout. See you then.
How do I do it all? The Brezza gives me the power.